We're live. All right, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, February 24th. This will be the last Q&A for this month. Let me just adjust this real quick. That probably made it worse. All right. Well, anyway, just so you guys know going forward, I try to adjust the camera for Instagram or whatever, but the best way to watch these calls is on YouTube, right? So you can see the full thing, not just like this little sliver that Instagram shows you. I think I got a valuable video for you guys today. I'm going to be recording a live YouTube video for you, and we're going to be talking about hiring new versus experienced barbers. I get this question a lot, like a lot. So I'm going to answer this question of whether you should hire new or experienced barbers for your barbershop in this video. And I might stop and answer questions throughout the video. So if you guys have any questions that are relevant to what I'm going to be talking about today, feel free to drop them in the chat. I might not see them till I'm finished recording, but I'm going to answer this question for you in this video, which is better, hiring new or experienced barbers. So hopefully you guys find this. I'm basically going to be filming a live YouTube video for you guys, so it's not going to be much of a Q&A. We might have some time at the end for questions or whatever, but you guys can always join my community too. That's like the best way if you have any questions. That can give you a much better answer too than just trying to think of something on the spot. If you're in my community, you can anybody that's in there can make a free post. And not only will you get my opinion, but you'll get the opinions of the 3,000 other barbers inside the community as well. So the link to that is in my bio if you're interested. It's 100% free to join. All right, so I guess we should start. If you guys have any questions about hiring new versus experienced barbers, feel free to put them in the chat while I'm recording. I might answer them. I might not. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so here we go. Here's the live YouTube video recording of should you hire new or experienced barbers. I will edit this and make it like a full YouTube video, but you guys will get to see the live version right now. Okay? So one of the most common questions that I get asked as a barbershop owner and as somebody who runs a free community for barbers called the Barber Mastermind online, which anybody can join, is should you hire new or experienced barbers? I get asked this question so many times that I figured it was time to actually make a video about it so that I can once and for all answer this question for any barbershop owner that is not sure about which path they should choose, because each one has its pros and cons, as we will talk about in this video. And if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Alex. I've owned a barbershop since 2015. We do over 7 figures in revenue per year, and I've hired, trained, fired, and interviewed hundreds of barbers at this point. So, I have a little bit of experience in this arena, and I've seen every type of barber you can possibly imagine come through my shop or has tried to work at my shop. So I'm making this video so that those of you who run a barbershop will know by the end of this video which path you should choose, or at least the pros and cons of each. Okay. And like I mentioned, I'm making this video because it's one of the most common questions that I get asked during these calls and in my Skool community. And getting this wrong can actually, I think, kill your business, right? Getting it right is like playing business on easy mode. It's you love life if you can get this right. So if you have this mindset of like good help is hard to find, I can't find good barbers, or you need to watch this video, right? Because I don't think that's true. I think you're just hiring the wrong people, right? So hiring the right barbers is one of the most important skills you need to learn as a barbershop owner. I mean, because think about it. You could be a great promoter, right? You could be the best marketer in the world. But these clients that you're getting in the door, if your barbers aren't retaining them, then you're always going to have to be looking for clients, right? Because it's like pouring water into a bucket that's full of holes. You're never going to be able to fill that bucket and have it overflow if you can't retain your clients. And how do you retain clients? It's by having good barbers, right? So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of hiring new versus experienced barbers. So this video is for barbershop owners that aren't sure which path to go down. And for barbers, I think this will be valuable for you as well, because if you're looking for a place to work, then this will give you some perspective on, how to make yourself more valuable, and also, which type of barbershop you may want to consider working at. So for the sake of this video, I came up with 3 categories of barbers, okay? Or really 4, but I'm going to bucket it into 3. So the 3 types of barbers, the 4 types of barbers that are out there that I'm aware of, right? We're going to go in order here. So the first type is new talent. So these barbers are, I'm going to say, and this is just from my experience, right? This isn't like some scientific study. Okay, it's just my experience and my numbers. So new talent would be the first category of barbers that I'm going to cover. These are barbers that have anywhere from 0 to, let's say, 2 years of experience. The second category that we're going to talk about is established barbers. These barbers we're going to say have anywhere between 2 to 5 years of experience. The third category we're going to call senior barbers. So these have anywhere from 5 to 10 years of experience. And I'm talking about licensed, as a licensed barber, right? And then the final category, we'll just bucket everything, like anything 10 years plus of experience. We're just going to call that a master barber. Now, in some states, that is like literally a licensed term, but I'm just referring to it in terms of years of experience. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean they're a master barber if they have 10 years, but I'm just calling it that for the sake of this video to differentiate it from those other 3 types, okay? Now, I will say that the ultimate skill here, and what we've been able to achieve at our shop, is you want to be able to attract all types of barbers, right? Because you might change your mind in the future, right? Maybe you start off and you're like, I want to hire new barbers. I like the fact that I can build them up from scratch, whatever. Then later on, and I've actually been through this process. I'm like, you know what? New barbers are a lot of work. I kind of just want somebody that's like plug and play. But you need to be able to, like, your barbershop has to attract different types, and it's a whole skill to be able to attract barbers. So I could tell you this is one of the most important points I'll make in this video, which is that your ability to attract good talented barbers as a barbershop owner is only going to be limited by your skill to market to those barbers. So if you are having a hard time hiring, it's probably because you don't have a good enough skill set yet to put the ads out there so that the people that you want are actually seeing for the fact that you're hiring, right? So I have a whole hiring course in my community about this, everything that I've learned about hiring and how to find good people so that you're never short-staffed again. Because I know, like, in my shop, for example, just for example, like roughly one barber can produce $100,000 or more in revenue, right? And so I don't know, how much would you pay to have $100,000 more? $1,000, $2,000 more? I mean, I'll take that deal all day. But this is a skill that, like, literally pays for itself. If you can find good barbers, you'll have other problems in the business, which is like, okay, now we need to open more shops because all these good people want to come work for me. And I think that's a good problem to have. So I have a whole hiring course where I talk about this stuff because the other important point that I'm going to make in this video or maybe I won't make it. I don't know. But like, you have to be able to be picky, no matter what no matter what path you go down. Whether you want to hire new barbers or experienced barbers or master barbers, you want the ability to be picky. And what is the prerequisite? I don't know why that word is hard for me to say. What is the prerequisite to being able to be picky with the people you hire as a barbershop owner? It's choice. You need to have tons of applicants, because if you put a job ad out there as a barbershop owner and you get one applicant, maybe two, you're probably not getting the best applicants. First of all, you might get lucky, but I would argue that you need 100, right? Because most of those people aren't going to be a good fit. We'll say like 80% of them, 80 out of the 100, you would never even consider. So that leaves you with 20 that are like, these are pretty good. And then of those 20, 5 are probably going to be like amazing, but maybe 1 or 2 are actually going to come work for you. So you need to be able to generate the applications, the volume, so that you can be busy. And that you, regardless of which path you choose, you can be picky. Whether you want to hire new barbers or experienced barbers, it all starts with, you have to be able to generate a shit ton of applications so that you can just keep the very best, right? Let your competition hire the rest, right? I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it just happened. It just happened that way. So again, all that's in my hiring course, which is in my free community. And now let's get into the pros and cons of hiring each type of barber. Okay, so for the rest of this video, I'm just going to use 3 buckets: new talent barbers, so the people that have 0 to 2 years of experience. We're going to bucket those established and senior barbers into one bucket. So we're going to say that from 2 years to 10 experience. And then we're going to have the master barbers, which are 10 plus years of experience. So let's talk about the pros of hiring new talent, newly licensed barbers, we'll say. Okay. So obviously, like, these barbers are going to be very trainable, okay, in a lot of cases, right? So there's going to be exceptions to each one of these. This is another important point that some of you guys are going to try to argue with me in the comments about whatever. And it's like, there's exceptions to every rule. You could hire a new talent type of barber who's just got licensed, but they could be amazing and need no training, and they're like rocket fuel to your business, right? And then on the other end of that spectrum, you could hire somebody who's been licensed for longer than you've been alive, and they might suck, right? And they could literally be like a detriment to your business. So there's absolutely exceptions to every single one of these. It's just, in most cases, like this, what I'm about to cover with you is going to be pretty accurate. Okay, so new talent, new barbers are going to be, generally, they're going to be more trainable. Could you find barbers that are new that are not trainable? Absolutely. I've seen it, right? It's like one of the worst categories that you could be in as a barber, is to be new and not want any training. They're also going to be hungry, right? I know, for example, like when I started at my shop, my first barbershop that I worked at fresh out of school, of course I was very hungry, right? I was hungry for more skill, because what do you need as a new barber? You need more practice, because generally you're not going to get a lot of practice in barber school. Like, it's not common for a barber to graduate barber school and just be amazing at fades, right? The barber school's job is to teach you the basics and to teach you just enough to pass the test so that you can become a licensed barber. The real learning happens in the barbershop, right? So as a new barber, I think, and this is what I did, I want to go to a place where I'm going to get a ton of practice and ideally some training, right? To kind of sharpen the skills, because I don't even know how to work in a barbershop yet. A barber school and a barber shop are totally different, right? Also, when I was fresh out of school, I was just grateful for the opportunity. Like, I remember I've only worked at one barbershop before I opened my shop. And I was fresh out of school. I went to a barbershop, and I remember I didn't even ask what the pay was, right? Because I was just grateful that the owner was willing to take a chance on me, was willing to let me practice on their clients. So I didn't find out what the pay was until my first paycheck. And it was still more than I ever made previous to that. But I was just grateful for the opportunity. So that's one of the pros of hiring new barbers. A lot of them, unless they're one of these barbers that's listening to like this social media trash about you should be charging $100 for a haircut fresh out of school, a lot of them are going to be like grateful for the opportunity, right? They're going to want growth in their skill set, like we mentioned, and they're hopefully not going to have any bad habits, right? Because they don't know anything, right? They just know the basics. Another pro is that they're generally going to be lower cost. At least this is how I would approach it, right? So if somebody is fresh out of school and wanting to work at my shop, I'm not going to offer them the same pay-wise as I would for a barber that was more experienced, that was potentially even bringing clients. Like the value isn't the same, right? You're saying, like, if you're a new barber coming to me to work at my shop, you are not going to make the same as a barber who's coming to me with experience and potentially bringing clients, because I have to put a ton of training and time and effort into you, and you still might not work out, right? So I have to kind of hedge my costs by offering less, because there's also other costs, which we'll talk about later, that come with hiring new barbers. So I'm generally going to offer somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience at my shop a little bit less than an experienced barber, right? Because it's more risky. By the way, anytime you hire anybody in your shop, you're taking a risk, right? I think that some barbers have it confused, and it's like, if you are applying, think about it this way: who's taking more risk when you're looking for a job as a barber, right? The barbershop owner or the barber? As a barber, if you don't like that shop, you can just leave, right? As a barbershop owner, I'm taking all of the risk, because you could come in the shop, destroy my culture, get a ton of bad reviews, and then just leave, and for me to clean up the mess. So I'm taking all the risk. And so keep that in mind. If you're a barbershop owner and you're not sure about whether you should bring somebody on or not, chances are it's best to just pass, right? And this goes back to, like, you need options. You need people to choose from, because you're taking a huge risk every time somebody comes on board with you, because you don't know if they're going to work out. And I could tell you, I don't know if I'll cover it later in this video, but I'll just tell you right now, is that you're never gonna get this 100% right. Who did I say? I heard a podcast by Elon Musk the other day, and he said that he doesn't always get it right. The richest man in the world, maybe the richest man that'll ever live, said that he doesn't even always get it right. So what makes you think, as a barbershop owner, that you're never going to make a hiring mistake again? I'm telling you right now, you will make hiring mistakes. It doesn't matter what path you choose, whether it's new or experienced or master barbers, you will make hiring mistakes. That's just part of the game, right? But if you're not sure if you should bring somebody on, don't do it, right? So that's one of the pros of hiring new barbers, right? They're trainable, they're hungry, they're grateful for the opportunity, very little to no bad habits, and you can start them a little bit lower in terms of pay, right? So established and senior barbers, these barbers are going to need some training, right? They have some experience. They've been doing it for anywhere between 2 to 10 years, right? So they're not going to need as much training. They're probably going to need some, because it's not like they've been doing it for 20 years. But they're looking to sharpen their skill set, and in some cases they're looking for growth too. Maybe they came from like a franchise, which is a great place to start when you're a new barber, and now they're looking for more. They're looking for growth in their skills, but also in their pay too, because if they're coming from a franchise, chances are their earning potential is a little lower. Or maybe they want to move up. They want to learn other skills. They want to learn business skills, right? Because I put a lot of business content out there, we're starting to attract the barbers that want to come work for us that are interested in that. And I'm like, cool, because that's what I love talking about, right? I'm much more passionate about the business side, but I have barbers on my team that are happy to train the skill side. So we can do it from both angles. So those are some of the pros of hiring established and senior barbers. They don't need as much training. They have some experience. They just want to sharpen their skills more, and maybe they're looking for other skills like business skills, things like that. Of course, they're going to be more expensive, right? I'm going to probably offer an established barber more in terms of pay to attract them than a newer barber. The value is not even close, right? And then the last category is master barber. So what are some of the pros of hiring master barbers, which again is like 10 plus years of experience? So in theory, right, these barbers are fully trained. They have a ton of experience, and so they could potentially be plug and play type of barbers. So when I say plug and play, so there's this term that me and my managers use, which is when barbers are plug and play, to me that essentially means that they can go from fresh off the street, they're just a candidate that applied to work with us, to a barber that's working in our shop and producing the same as everybody else, like very fast, like almost overnight, right? And it's rare, but that can actually happen. We've been especially lucky with that lately, because I'm just using the skills that I have in my hiring course, and we're just been like, I don't know if we could call it luck, but like the more skilled you are, the luckier you are. So again, if you have a ton of people coming to work for you, you can just scrape the very best off the top. And so sometimes these master barbers don't need any training at all, and they can actually bring a lot of experience and help maybe even show you some stuff, right? As a barbershop owner or your team. These barbers are usually in the tail end of their career, though. They are usually motivated. They're looking for stability, right? Some of them have come from booth rent. They've come from even owning their own shop. Like fucking half the people on our team have either come from booth rent or have even had their own shop at some point, their own suite. They're done with that, right? They want stability. They want, like, we have a retirement. We offer retirement to our team, right? So they're not used to that in a lot of cases, right? We have a health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, right? We have paid time off, right? So master barbers, people that are veterans, however you want to think about it, they're usually in the tail end of their career, and they're just looking for a place where they can go to work, cut some hair, and go home, put some money away for retirement. They're not looking to take the risk of opening their own shop or doing the booth rent thing or the suite rent thing again, right? They've done that. They've been there. They've done that. They just want to cut some hair and go home, right? And they've got the training. They got the experience already. The other barbershop owners already did all the work for you, right? So those are the pros of hiring both of new talent, established and senior barbers, and master barbers. If you guys are watching this live right now, I'm just doing a live YouTube recording. I'm going to put all this in a recording. So if you just follow along, and there'll be a recording of this on my YouTube channel. All right, so let's talk about the cons of hiring each. Okay, so what are some of the cons of hiring new talent barbers, newer barbers, so people that have less than 2 years of experience? Well, some of the cons is that they might be low in terms of you can pay them less, right? Because they're not as valuable as a barber that has skill, but they do cost you in a different way. So as a barbershop owner, when you hire new barbers, you can pay them less because they're not as valuable as a barber that has experience and potentially brings clients with them, but it's costing you in a sense that I've never seen a new barber join my team that had no experience that also had high retention. So because of the fact that they don't have the skill and they're essentially practicing on your clients, the cost with hiring new barbers is that they're killing your retention, right? Those clients aren't coming back. Most clients don't appreciate being practiced on, even if you let them know in advance, like we do. Like, it's not a surprise when somebody books at our shop with a new barber. Like, it's on the website, like it's a lower price, they're labeled, but still, even then, right? It's those clients aren't going to come back in a lot of cases. Now, of course, there's exceptions to that, but that is the cost of hiring new barbers. Right? You're basically paying them to learn and mess up your clients' haircuts. They eventually get better. Now, I've had amazing barbers that came to us that started off terrible and now are some of our top performing barbers. It's a lot of work, though, and it takes some time. And again, some people still aren't going to make it, right? No matter how much you train them, no matter how much you tell them, it's a personality thing too. Like, it's not always just based on experience. I think a lot of it's personality as well. What are some of the cons of hiring established or senior barbers? Well, they're going to have some bad habits, right? Because they have anywhere between 2 to 10 years of experience. So they are going to bring some bad habits with them, right? Because every barbershop is ran a little bit differently. So the haircut might not change, but what makes your barbershop different is what happens before and after the haircut. And that's where the training needs to come. I mean, sometimes you need to train them about how to do the haircut too, but they might have some bad habits because, like, that's just what they did when they were at their last place, okay? So that's one of the cons of hiring established and senior barbers, right? And then with master barbers, the cons are, I mean, they're going to be generally more expensive, right? If you're getting a really good barber that has a lot of experience, potentially bringing a lot of clients with them. I mean, I would offer that person the max that I could afford to start them at, right? But so they're going to be more expensive. They're also going to be the hardest to work with, in terms of the bad habits. They're going to have the most bad habits because they're like, I've been doing this for longer than you've been alive. And I'm like, well, then why are you here? Because, you should be like on your own somewhere. But again, some people just want stability, right? Even if they could go and do their own thing, some people just want stability. But master barbers bring the most bad habits by far, right? And some of them are just untrainable at a certain point, right? They're just like, I'm stuck in my ways. That saying of, you can't teach an old dog new tricks absolutely applies here, right? In a lot of cases. Again, there's exceptions to each one of these. You can absolutely, if you're really lucky, you can find barbers that are new, that are just like plug and play. Like maybe they just got licensed, but they've been doing it for a while, so they're really good, right? And you can also find barbers who have been licensed for 10, 20 years and that are absolutely terrible. And you wouldn't let them cut your dog's hair, right? So it's just, there's exceptions to every one of these, right? So now let's talk about which path should you choose and I'll just talk about it in terms of your goals and resources, because that's really what it comes down to. What are your goals? What are your goals as a barbershop owner? Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to go fast, or are you just trying to stay stable? Right? And then how much resources do you have? Because to train people takes resources. If you think you can just hire a new barber and just throw them in there and not expect it to be a disaster, I mean, I'm telling you from experience, it will be a disaster, right? New barbers, to train them the right way, you need somebody literally just standing there watching them fixing their haircuts, and they still might not work out, right? So, but that takes money, because I'll tell you what we do at our shop. So at our shop, when we hire a new barber who's new, right? We have trainers. So think about how expensive it is to train somebody at my shop. We have a barber who's brand new, who probably terrible at haircuts, right? They are taking 2 or 3 times as long as another barber would to do the same haircut. It's still not going to look as good. And in our case, we're charging the client half price. Okay. And we have a trainer who's standing there watching them, who's usually one of the best barbers. And that trainer is blocked out, so they can't cut hair. So in order to compensate the trainer for that, we pay them a lot. right? Because they're missing out on tips and commissions and all that to stand there and watch this new barber. So it's really expensive training new barbers. They're not making anywhere near enough in revenue to cover their own cost, let alone the cost of the trainer, right? But can it work out? Absolutely. But that's what I'm talking about. Well, you need resources. Can you afford to block one of your best barbers out so that they can watch this new barber mess up haircuts all day? If you can, then new barbers might be a good route to go for. If not, then you might not want to think about hiring new barbers, right? And if you're a new barber watching this, it's okay. Like, just go work at Sport Clips or some franchise. That's why these places hire them, because they have trainers, right? They can afford to sit. You can mess up their haircuts all day. They don't care, right? Another thing is, like, do you want to grow fast, right? Because like I talked about earlier, if you have barbers that aren't retaining clients, not only will your shop not grow fast, but it could potentially die, right? If your retention is bad enough. If you're losing more clients than you're gaining as a barbershop owner, eventually that goes to zero. Eventually you run out of clients and you have to shut your doors. So if you want to grow fast, then you want to hire barbers that are good at retaining clients. So if you want to grow fast, you may not want to think about hiring new barbers. But if you can afford to sacrifice a little bit of growth so that you can grow fast later, and you have resources, you have trainers, or you're willing to train as the barbershop owner, then new barbers might be a good thing to bet on, right? So personally, I've had the best experience with hiring established and senior barbers. So people that are like in the middle of their journey as a barber. So they're not new. They're also not like been doing this for so long that they're just basically untrainable. But again, I've had people that were brand new to the industry that ended up becoming amazing. Some of my best barbers right now were people that we trained from scratch, but it took like 2 years to get there, right? Can you afford to wait 2 years? If not, maybe you want to wait till later, right? To bring on these new barbers when you have the resources. Okay, so it's also a matter of timing. Like, maybe right now you can't afford it, but later on you will be able to. That's what we did, right? So in the beginning, I was like, I just want to get going fast. I need money, right? So we just hired like basically anybody that applied, but I was really leaning on people that were experienced in master barbers, right? Later on, I was like, man, I saw the pros or the cons of hiring people that had so much experience because they're basically untrainable. So I was like, man, I kind of want new barbers. But then I saw the cons of hiring new barbers. So we've kind of landed in the middle. Right now, we've had barbers, and we currently have barbers that are on all ends of these spectrums. But I'm just telling you, like, what I've been through as a barbershop owner. So in short, if you want to grow fast, probably want to go with like established barbers or master barbers. If you're okay with growing a little bit slower and you have the resources, then you can basically hire whoever you want, right? As a side note, one of our goals as a business is to be able to have the resources to be able to bring somebody on that's new and put them through training, 3-6 months of training, so that way they can be good. Because the problem with this is a con of just going after that established market, the master barbers too, is that there's less of, well, it's a smaller pool, right? So it's like if you're a barber that wants to charge $100 for a haircut, there's nothing wrong with that, but just know that like that's a very small pool of clients that are willing to pay for that. So if you only want to hire established or master barbers, just know that the number of people is smaller than if you're able to hire like people from each one of those 3 buckets. So I think that I also think that it is a much more valuable barbershop is one that can take a barber that's fresh out of school and make them amazing than one that is limited to just hiring barbers with experience. So if you want your barbershop to be more valuable, and to be basically able to produce barbers as opposed to being dependent on finding them, then I would argue that you need to develop a solid training program so that you one day, when the time is right, you can take a new barber, a new talent, and turn them into an amazing barber. And then that way they also won't know any other way, right? That's probably another con of hiring a new barber, is that they don't have any perspective. Like, they've never worked anywhere else. So you might have the best barbershop in the world. But so some of these new barbers can suffer from, I mean, really any barber, the grass is greener mentality. Like, they don't realize, because they've never worked anywhere else, how good they have it at your shop. This is some of the things I deal with every now and then. Like, we have healthcare, dental, vision insurance, paid time off, fixed schedules. My barbers get 1 hour for lunch break. I mean, 401k. And I mean, you'd be like, most of these barbers are making anywhere between 50 to 80 grand a year or more. And people still find things to complain about. Right? It's usually the newer barbers too, the ones that have never worked anywhere else, that are the ones complaining. So I actually think that maybe the right answer is to have a mix, right? You have some that are new, maybe like a couple new barbers. If you have an 8-chair shop, for example, maybe you have like one barber, maybe two that are brand new, like they don't know anything, right? And then the rest is a mix of established and master barbers, because they can help kind of guide and train and mentor the new barber. But I don't know that you should like have an entire shop of like new barbers. I'd be curious to see what your retention was if that was the case. So I think actually the right answer is the middle. But I do think, like, in terms of what we're going to be focusing on over the next few years, is developing an amazing training program so that we can bring anybody on board, regardless of their experience, and make them great. And that's just going to give us a huge competitive advantage, right? Because you guys can have all the veteran barbers who don't want to be trained. We'll take all the newbies and we'll make them great at our shop. That's our plan, right? So, and also, knowing which barber you want to go after is going to be super helpful in how you design your business, because you're designing your business. Think about, like, when you're thinking about an offer to attract new clients, it's the same exact thing when you're trying to think of an offer to attract barbers. Why would a barber want to come work for you? I can tell you that it's not always just pay. Like, we definitely don't pay the best, like in our city. Right? But we're one of the most sought after places that barbers want to work for because of all the things we offer. We do pay well, but I'm sure there's places that are willing to pay more than us. But we go after the barbers that are looking for stability, right? Because we have that here at our shop, right? We have that guaranteed pay, right? We're not like pure commission. We're not booth rent. We have guaranteed pay. So if somebody doesn't show up for their appointment, you're having a slow day or you're just getting started, the barbers are still getting paid, right? It's more risky for me as a business owner, but like, it makes it way easier to attract barbers when you're saying like, hey, you can come on board and you're still going to get paid no matter what, even if you don't do a single haircut today, right? So we attract those barbers that want that stability, right? We're not going to be attracted to those barbers that want to have their own schedule and do their own pricing. Like, those barbers don't work out with us, right? So you can, once you know what types of barbers you want to go after, you can design your business to be more appealing to people like that, right? So our shop is going to be attracting people that want stability and that also want growth. But we're not going to be appealing to those people that are like, I just want to come in do 3 haircuts and go home and charge $100 and take 2 hours on a haircut. And then, no, they're never going to come work for us. So no matter what you do, just know, as a barbershop owner, you're never going to be able to appeal to every single type of barber that's out there. Just like you're never going to be able to appeal to every type of client that's out there. So pick which one you want to go after and design your business to appeal more to those people. So in short, whether you should hire new or experienced barbers ultimately comes down to your goals. And now you know all the pros and cons. So hopefully you found that helpful. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Speaking the truth, I've been through this as a barbershop owner. I appreciate it. Yeah, me too. I'm currently going through it. We're not actively hiring at the moment, but we're always looking. So you can't bribe to drop solid information on our industry. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Um, so I hopefully you guys found this helpful. This is one of the most common questions I get. Like I mentioned, I don't think there is a right or wrong way. In short, I don't know if I made that point during the video. I think that it just depends on your goals, right? That's going to be honestly the answer to a lot of the things that I put out there is like, it depends. If you have the resources, hire the new people. If you don't hire the new people, right? So if you guys have any questions, there's a oh yeah, let me just plug my community one more time. There's in my bio, wherever you're watching this, I have a free community where we can continue this conversation. It's called the Barber Mastermind. It's skool.com/barbers. And you know what? Let me put it in the chat so you guys can see it. Actually, it's not letting me. It's not letting me type. There it is. Skool.com/barbers. There you go. Super easy to remember. There it is on the screen. And that's where you can find all of the courses that I offer, as well as being able to network with the other barbers that are also trying to grow their barber business and their barbershop. So if you guys are interested, it's 100% free to join. You don't have to pay for anything. Okay? That's just my gift to you. So hopefully this video turned out useful. And I will see you guys next time. All right? Talk to you later.